So for my next person, we have Abigail, or as she like to call herself, Abby, and she's joining us from all the way from Nigeria. So she's an artist, a poet, and a businesswoman. I don't know how she does it all, but let me ask her. But a big welcome to Abby, and thank you so much for joining at kalavishari.
Thank you.
Thank you, and let's hear about yourself. You know, all these multitasking that you do.
I don't know. Can you hear me very well?
Yeah.
Can you hear me very well? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Actually, let me start from the beginning. So I studied fine and applied art actually. So that experience helped me to figure out what I wanted to do actually, and having met a lot of people in school, I had friends who were doing business in school right from school. So it was more like something that was easy to handle right after school, because I actually sold works while I was still in school as well. So it was something that I got used to right from school, and then when you get older you want to do stuff more, and that's just that's how it's been all this while.
Fair enough. I see your background. Did you draw that yourself?
Of course.
That's amazing. Where is the inspiration
Absolutely.
from? What's your inspiration for that?
I lost my audio. Can you say that again?
Okay? Can you hear me okay? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I was just asking, what's your inspiration for the painting behind?
Yeah, I'm actually fascinated by lines, and I tell people that lines is the beginning of art, because it's what gives you your ideas. I know when you have so many lines, you begin to see imagery. So for me, the lines are like the starting point for my art, and because I'm so fascinated with lines, like I feel like I can't do without them. It's what gives me ideas. I could have like a bunch of lines, and I'm seeing imagery here. I'm getting ideas and all of that. So I'm like, okay, I've had paintings with figures, humans, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do this line thing by myself. And that was how I came up with this painting. So it's like a vast, like a rush of lines, crisscrossing each other with so many colors. I have more than like 30 something colors in this painting. So it's like sometimes you want to express yourself, like it's like you're saying, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, but you don't actually do it. And so this was like me saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this eventually. I've said it so many times, I love lines. So this is my opportunity to like express myself in reality. So that's how I came up with that painting. And it has become a series, actually.
So obviously that's like a theme that you're always drawn to, lines, for example. Are there any other themes that you would like to explore?
Sorry, come again?
Are there any, so lines and, colors and, vibrant colors are like sort of your themes that you
inspire me.
Yeah,
they inspire, lines and colors inspire me in my works, but predominantly I feature themes that has to do with women, because it's easier for me to relate with, as a woman in Africa, we know a lot of experiences we've had. And so my art is a way of saying, portraying some of these experiences, or a way of lending my voice to say, okay, this is what's going on in the society. We're not happy about it. We want the government to do something, or we want the society to see what is going on, because a lot of people don't know what's going on sometimes. So we're kind of lending our voice through art. And so most times I'm portraying the female figure in different aspects of, life's experiences. So basically that's what actually, most of my things are, you see a lot of female figures. And predominantly I portrayed the Afro hairstyle in most of the female figures, because I feel like, as an African woman, I don't want to lose my Africanity. So sometimes I'm like, okay, let me bring something and inculcate it in my and infuse it in my painting to still make it look African, even though I stylize it and make it look, something different, So that's basically what I do in my painting.
So obviously we talked about how, you're an artist and you run a business as well. What's like the most challenging part of it, apart from time as well? Obviously time, managing time. What challenges do you face? And how do you sort of like look around it?
Yeah, because being an artist already, full-time studio artist, is a lot of work. So you're trying to balance up, painting, marketing, having an exhibition somewhere, mounting the exhibition. It's just a whole lot of work. So what I did recently was I just had to get a manager. So I just sit in the studio, do my works, and then she comes with, okay, we have to do this exhibition this time. So she schedules, what I have to do for the year. And so basically it makes it easier because now you have to focus on painting, and then you have somebody who is going to do the other, stuff for you, and then get you to come for the exhibition. And so it just makes it easier. But, initially, I mean, it wasn't easy. I don't expect everybody to have that first-hand experience, but as time goes on, you just have to figure out what works for you. I also run an online gallery because I have clients who want to see my works, and I think once you have the gallery and people are able to see your works, it kind of makes it easier, even though we cannot see face to face. I mean, when you see my works and you like something, so it makes it easier to sell, so it's just a whole lot of stuff. Because sometimes you also want to just have art for art's sake because you want to make you want to have an avenue to express something, like when we had something on gender and rape and violence, so that was art for art's sake. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, I want to sell this book. So like I said, we lend the voice to society to talk about issues that relate to the society. And I'm balancing that, trying to do my work, trying to do business. So it's a whole lot of work going on there. So you just have to figure out yourself and what you can handle. Yeah, so that's basically what I do.
I still don't know how you manage all three. I still can't even manage my workload. So
I know.
it's amazing how you do all three.
You just have to figure that out, because you have to your itinerary, and the time you have. If you have deadlines, so you just know you have to work ahead of time to get to those deadlines. It's as simple as that.
I guess one of the questions I have is that what kind of advice would you give to upcoming artists? Because obviously I feel like there's this kind of like stigma that art isn't like a stable career, particularly in India. I feel like some parents kind of look down on it. So what would be your sort of advice to sort of for those artists to embrace their artists within themselves and to really go for it?
Yeah, actually, I also had my own fair share when I was growing up. I started doing art and I wasn't really making money. And then my parents were like, oh, you're not going to do that and do that. And then I had to stop completely. I wasn't practicing for like 6 years. So I still had it in mind that, oh, I'm going to do it sometime later. So sometimes, we all experience this, we have all these experiences, but, you have it within you, you have the passion that you want to do it. So after some time, I came back to art, and then I continued, and I've had to like attend other exhibitions and all of that. So my advice for those upcoming, regardless of all the challenges, you just have to remain focused. You just have to know that there is money in art. Actually, there's a lot of money in art. But when you have that in mind, that there's a lot of money in art, and you stay focused, all you have to do is to work consistently, create your own style. I know this is your personality, because your personality reflects in your work. So when you have an identity in your art, and you're consistent in what you're doing, one day you're going to be discovered. One day you're going to have like a breakthrough. Somebody sees you and wow, I love what you're doing. And then from there it continues. So it's like a journey. You just have to go through it. Okay. But sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm not making money and all of that. I know sometimes it's also difficult for some artists. I've met artists who actually have part-time jobs, to be able to sustain themselves and be able to also, practice. Because once you stop practicing, you become rustic, and sometimes you completely like leave out, the art thing and all of that. So my advice is just keep persevering. Keep being consistent in what you're doing. When I first started, I wasn't even selling anything, but I was just doing every other thing and using the money to buy materials, and I was just painting and painting. Sometimes I feel like, why am I even painting? But I had people, senior colleagues who also advised me, encouraged me, oh, what you're doing is good, just keep doing it, one day you're going to sell a lot of work. And it's true. It happens. So just believe in yourself and just have faith that everything is going to work out in due time. Everybody's journey is not the same, so that's just what it is. So
you mentioned about breakthrough. Do you mind if I ask, what was your sort of breakthrough? You know, what point did you, you know, kind of hit off? And yeah, what was your sort of like successful piece as of yet?
The irony is I've had quite a number of pieces that have been, I don't know whether to use the word wow. Like there were significant pieces, maybe like two, three, or five, almost like five, you know.
Mm.
So at some point, like I said, like if you're consistent in what you're doing and you eventually get a style that, you know, identifies you as an artist, you know, together with your style, so that when someone sees a Pablo Picasso, they know this is a Pablo Picasso, you know. So
Yeah,
it's something that has to do with identity, and you will not get there until you continue, you know, working consistently. And
thank you.
most times, what I tell artists is you just have to experiment. You have to try something, you know, different stuff to see which one works for you, you know. So I was at, when I had my breakthrough, I think it was mostly when I started doing paper cutting.
Mm.
Yes, I learned paper cutting in China. It was actually Chinese paper cutting.
Okay.
But when I came back, because I'm not Chinese and I had no idea all the details they use in the paper cutting, so I had to adopt what fits my style, you know. And I started doing paper cutting. I started infusing in my art, and it gave me that identity, it gave me that style, which I now use in my works. And most people who have come in contact with my works loved my works, and so I think that was my own breakthrough. Like I said, so you just have to be consistent. You have to experiment, try what works for you, and stick with what works for you. I think that's basically what I can say.
I guess one more question is that, has the
Yeah.
pandemic affected your work in any way? And if so, like, what kind of projects are you doing at home to kind of keep your creativity going? Other
Um,
that you could tell our audience to maybe, you know, the particular, like particularly the artists, you know, watching this, what would you kind of tell them to kind of maybe, I don't know, get your brushes up and keep doing, or
um, ironically, this pandemic gave most of us the opportunity to even do more work, because now you have less distractions,
yeah.
and so you're able to like refocus your energy and, you know, do more work, because business didn't stop moving. People are still buying chairs and food and stuff online. You know, like I told you, I have an online gallery. So it was a question of projecting, you know, your what do you call it, your works online, or using social media to promote yourself, you
Mm.
know. So I think it may look like maybe the market is a little bit slow, but it doesn't mean the market has stopped operating, because people are still buying. You know, I've seen a lot of people selling apps. So I actually sold during the lockdown. So that's why I said I don't think the market has stopped. The only thing is that the method for which we used to sell has changed a bit from
Mm.
now.
Okay.
That's it. So we just have to go with the flow, basically. So if you were selling physically, I think you should go online, probably use your social media, your Facebook, and all of that. I have all the handles, so you know I post across all my social media handles, and I think I've got a lot of feedback. So
Mm.
that's basically what I would say.
Do you have any sort of blockers while you know, while you work, like, and how do you sort of deal with them when you do get these
Oh,
blockers?
sure. What I do is I do most times when I paint, I don't just do one painting. I
Mm.
could have like five paintings at the same time. So I'm
Really?
working on this one. Yes, I'm working on this painting. I like the color. Oh, I'm not sure of the color. And then I'm like, okay, bye. And then I move to the next painting. I'm like, okay, let me see. I start painting, and then maybe I get stuck again. You know, I probably go back to that one, or just, you know, move to another one entirely. So sometimes I have five going on. You
Mm.
know, so what it does is, you know, it helps you to have, it's like a refresher,
Yeah.
you know, because obviously I'm stuck here. So I need something to start off again. So it's not like you're just gonna pack the painting and say, oh hey, I'm not painting anymore till this idea comes back. No, so it's like a continuous cycle, you know. And like I told you, I do a lot of experiments. So I'm not just doing art, I also do installation. So I recently started working with wire mesh. And for me, because I'm a painter, so I'm exploring colors with wire mesh and trying to see how to work with them. So for me, like I said, you just have to keep experimenting. You should not be limited to, like I always tell people, painting for me, you should, as an artist, you should not be limited to the canvas, but you should be able to explore beyond the canvas. So there's no limit to art. You can go from one end of the, of the pointer to the other end. So, well, you're free to express yourself.
Fair enough. And what sort of, have you got any sort of tips and tricks for our enthusiasts? Anything that you kind of found along the way that you think are useful and that, you kind of wish that, oh, I wish I knew this before, or like, have you got anything that you kind of like, learning, like a learning thing? Anything in particular that jumps out to you?
Yes, I would say learn from the wise man. That's what I would say. Learn from the wise man is like you have to learn to interact more with like minds, with people who are like your senior colleagues, that are advanced, because they probably have better ideas than you. And when you go for exhibitions as well, and you see what other people are doing, I think it kind of gives you kind of an eye opener that, oh, so I could have done this way, or I could have done this the other way. So I think as an artist, for you to be able to explore more and get ideas, you could visit exhibitions or visit other artist studios and see what they're doing, because it actually kind of opens up your mind and gives you other ideas too. It just helps to develop your whole concept of art as well.
Okay, so we mentioned about like you writing poetry as well. Would you like to write about? I'd like to explore that a bit more.
Oh my god. Well, if like when I have an exhibition, like when I had my last solo exhibition, it always comes with a poem, because the poem is like a summary of the exhibition but in written form. So I think then I talked about city people, and I said something about we move from the like in the African context, we move from the rural area to the urban area in search of a greener pasture. So it has to do with that exhibition. So most times it's usually related to art, basically. But sometimes too, I write non-art, poems, maybe on romance or just basic normal writing.
Do you have anything in your mind that you can maybe recite for us?
Oh my god, I have none at the moment.
That's okay, no pressure. I mean, I kind of, I feel like I kind of put you on the spot there.
I know.
You said you also do installation art. So to the people who don't know what that is, can you explain what that is?
Installation art is a form of art that is not necessarily 2D or 3D, but mostly about forms. When you say something is installed, it means there's a way you're gonna fix it or hang it, whereby when the viewer sees it, he's able to see like a collection of objects or a collection of forms, and the idea is to create a story, So I have this. I actually have one of them here. I had this little shapes. So this is wire mesh, for example. When I created them, they have like a hook. So I had over 100 pieces of this.
Okay.
And so when you install them, that means you're putting them up together in a form that's appealing to you, because you're trying to tell a story about something. So when you do that in a collective format or form, and create an imagery, so that gives you an installation, So but installation comes in different forms. It could just be one piece of fabric, with different things all glued together and stuff like that. Someone like Nnajai is popularly known for his installation art, So that's just like basically what I could explain about installation art. So it could be anything. It could be like bottles. It could be like just anything. Putting them together. It could be hanging. It could just be arranged in a particular form. So that's what installation is. Yeah.
Perfect. I think you inspired the audience to maybe look into that even further. But I think it's time to round up there. But thank you so much for joining us at Kalavishari.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure meeting you, and I loved hearing
you so much.
And you're definitely a woman of multitasking. Definitely inspired me in multiple ways.
Thank you.
But thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Take care of
You too.
yourself.
Thanks so much. And you too. Bye.
Bye.